Don't you just love it when your favorite book becomes a TV show, or your favorite TV show becomes a movie? Well, how about when your favorite movie becomes a video game? This week in the Gifted Gaming Podcast, we're talking all of those video games that were previously movies. All right, it's me, it's your host, Darren Wade, and today it's just the fantastic duo of me and Kevin Purcell. Kev P, how are you?
Not too bad, Darren. How you doing? Thanks for having me back.
No problem. You're always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. How's your day been?
It's been good. It's been very, very chill. Experiencing insane weather today in Dublin, as you know yourself. So I've been making the most of that. Just being out in the seafront, chilling. Going to probably wait for the sun to go in before doing some gaming. But
nice.
Yeah,
that's always the challenge, isn't it? When we finally get some good weather, you're like, I'm so torn, though.
Yeah. Just drawing the curtains and just like, no, it's fine.
No one needs to know about this. It's been a really nice day today, actually. And I was raging because I couldn't work from home today. I had to do the old slog in the classic office, just pining out the window, with my hand up against the glass, just looking at everybody else having their ice creams and roaming about town,
Doing skip rope.
Yeah. Just kids having fun. Even though there's never ever kids outside that on the road, just lots of kids playing hopscotch and stuff. That was my life. Have you been playing anything recently, Kev?
Yeah.
Anything different or new?
Well, not exactly new, but I've been absolutely hammering Switch golf out of it relatively recently. I am hooked at the moment.
I was talking to not Luke on the podcast, our other friend Luke, who we both know from work. He was saying that you guys were at a wedding recently, and did you bring the Switch?
Yeah.
You brought it for a bit of golf?
I brought the Switch down. We were staying in we had an on-site thing, so I knew we had a living space and a TV, so I was like, I'm obviously going to bring the Switch down. And so a few of my mates are big into golf, so I was like, I've got the perfect game, everyone come on over. And we were playing, I think we played about 9 to 12 holes on the day too, early morning.
Switch golf is so much fun. I was down myself and Craig, our friend Danny, and God, I can't remember who else was there. Kev B, maybe. We were just chilling out, watching the rugby here, and afterwards we're like, oh, we do a bit of golf. So we did a warm up of the 3 holes, and then we said, we'll do a bit of a tournament, a 9-hole tournament. We got absolutely into it, and Craig, being the owner of the game, the master of the Switch, the guy who's very good at Switch golf, I've always been trying to beat him, never gotten close, and there was 2 holes left on the 7th hole. It was neck and neck, we were 300 par each,
Oh, lovely.
And I was like, wow, this is the day. And on the 8th hole, it was one of those mad putts or whatever, was really really hilly, yeah. And it was that thing where you see kids at crazy golf who just keep swinging the putt around the golf hole and never get. That was me. I think I got a triple or triple bogey or whatever. It just brought me right out of the game.
It's almost as if it mirrors golf so much, because I play some of it online, and I could be doing well, under par or whatever, getting good points. I'm I'm not going to be cut this round at all. And then once it gets down to the wire and people start getting cut, that's what they do on online. I don't know if you ever play it, but I really start to panic. You know what I mean? And
I'm next.
I'm there shaking. I'm just oh man, come on, get it straight. And it's just big
together,
red wobbly line.
And so that's how, because I've never played it online. I've only done it locally. You actually, it's a knockout thing. You're just
you start off 8, and then you do 2 rounds, and the bottom 3 are cut. Then 2 more rounds, and I think it's 2 more are cut, and then it's the final 3.
Wow.
And highest score wins.
I'd say the last 3 is a pretty intense game.
And the standard's so up and down. Some people you get and you're just there's no way I'm beating you. And then other days I'll play quite what I think poorly and I'll win. So I'm just there's no consistency. Right?
Playing children.
That's obviously
today.
what it is.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the people playing at 12 in the afternoon were also kids, Yeah.
Who would have thought? All that free time. I myself have been finally got my hands on Baldur's Gate 3. Again, my Baldur's Gate 3 Part 2. Played on the Stadia. It's a lot different not a lot different, but they've streamlined a lot of stuff. It's been great. But I had a pretty hilarious me getting excited as a gamer to be oh, Baldur's Gate 3, I can't wait. So I misread when it was being released. So when you bought the deluxe edition, you got it 72 hours early on PlayStation. And whatever way I read dates, I assumed that the release date was Friday just gone, so I was going to be able to play it on Wednesday or Thursday night, whatever it might have been. So that night I came home, I had dinner prepped and everything, I took a bottle of wine, sat down. I was like, "This is me. I'm going to sit down, a glass of wine, bit of food, and crack into Baldur's Gate 3." And I was texting Craig and stuff. Like the lads were like, "Oh, does anyone want to have a game of Smash Brothers?" And I was like, "No, I'm going to sit in and play Baldur's Gate." And Craig sent me a message back being like, "I don't think it's out today." And I was like, "Don't be ridiculous, Craig. I've got my bottle of wine here with me. Of course it's out tonight." And then I just looked it up and it wasn't. I was too early.
Heartbreaking.
It's okay. I mean, it was good. Craig invited me down. He was very courteous. He invited me down, and I played some Smash Brothers to help with the devastation. But I did it to myself again. So I thought, okay, it's out on Saturday then. So like midnight Friday, it'll be out. So midnight Friday, I was like, yeah, I'll stay up a bit late and I'll crack into Baldur's Gate 3. And I sat down and I was like, okay, 12-13 minutes until midnight. This is good. I'll sit down here. I was on my phone watching a few videos while I was passing the time until midnight. And I was texting Kev for a little bit, and I looked at the clock, the time to when it was released, and it said 17 minutes. And I thought, that's weird. It's like 12:05. That's unusual. Chatting away to Kev and stuff like that. And about 10 minutes had passed, and I checked the clock on my PlayStation 5 again, and it still said it had 16 minutes to be able to download it. That's weird. I was definitely talking to Kev for longer than a minute. And then I just took a look at myself, and the PlayStation was 16 hours. 16 hours away. 5 p.m. release on a Saturday was when it actually was.
For a second, I thought the download time was 16 hours away.
Oh, no, thank God. I was like, no, I had pre-download. Kev, I was so ready. I pre-downloaded. I'd been researching my race and my class. I was like, this is going to be great. And so I disappointed myself twice. But at the weekend, I finally got into it, and I'm having a blast. It's so much fun. I showed it to you the night.
I saw a little bit of it last night. Were you able to so that was your main character we were watching you play as?
Yes.
And did he recover from his ailment?
After we kissed the squid? No, I died and I had to load up my game again. But that was fine. I was just kind of messing about. So I went back to that squid, that mind flayer fella, and I didn't kiss him this time.
Very good, yeah.
It's the problem with peer pressure. Having two people sitting around me going, "Kiss the squid." I'm like, well, I gotta kiss him now.
And you're enjoying it so far, yeah?
I love it, man.
And did you play 1 and 2?
No, never played those two at all.
Okay.
I only got onto Baldur's Gate 3 because it was one of the reasons I got Stadia. It was when I was big into D&D. I was like working on a homebrew. I was playing with all the guys.
Yeah.
We were like absolutely deep in D&D at the time, and I saw Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and I was reading about it and how it was like essentially D&D, the video game.
Yeah.
So I was looking at what it was available on. It was on PC, and I was like, I don't have a PC. And then I saw, oh my God, it's on Google Stadia. Here we go. Another reason to buy Google Stadia. It proved to be very incorrect. No one should have bought Google Stadia. But yes, it was, got to play it on Stadia, and it was fantastic. And there was lots of things I would have changed, and a lot of them have changed, thankfully, in a better way. There's some things that are still there from the beta, because when I was playing on Stadia, it was just a beta, so it was quite buggy, and you'd report stuff that you came across and all that jazz. So, but no, it's fantastic. It's been really, really good. But I know I was talking to Chris about this. I have this need that I've done so many decisions that, like, and sometimes you make a roll to make these decisions, and you do it on like your wisdom or your charisma or whatever else, and it doesn't go the way you want. And there's a lot of people, I think it's called, I could be wrong, I think it's called like scum saving or something like that, where you save before every conversation so you can just restart it. Now, I haven't done that. But I've gotten to the point now where I was playing as a warlock, and I'm like, oh, is this what I really want to do? And about like 3-4 hours into the game, and a couple of decisions haven't gone my way, and now I'm just like, I really want to go back to character creation and just, start anew. Yeah. But I worry that that'll be my thing, that I'll get another 5-6 hours in and say, but what about the barbarian class? So I'm like, no, you need to stick with this and try and get further in it, because there's just so much choice. Because
that's the thing as well, it's such a time sink of a game, like not in a negative way, because I've only heard positive things so far, but like it's suggested a time to completion is 80 to 100 hours.
Oh yeah, I was talking to our pal Daniel, who will hopefully soon be making an appearance in the podcast, and he was telling me that himself and his partner both got Baldur's Gate, and they were playing it, and they are 50-60 hours in, and their understanding is that a lot of the stuff, or a lot of the game, happens in Baldur's Gate. Apparently you might go there. They're 50 odd hours in and still haven't gotten to Baldur's Gate. So a big game, really big game. But it's a nice one. It's a multiplayer kind of drop in, drop out as well, which would be really, really good. So I think a few of us are kind of like pick a couple of characters and drop in, and I think it's one of those games I could probably see myself playing, just hopping on and off over the next year and a bit, and giving it a good go. I was looking at it now for myself, and everything I've heard
sounds fantastic. It's just not I haven't never played D&D, so I'll just be like jumping into
a whole new world.
But I mean, it's like it is kind of intuitive as well. Like it will guide you along, I'm sure.
I mean, like it does a fairly brief, like a harshly brief tutorial, I thought, when I played it, because in the beta version of it that I was playing, the tutorial section, if you can call it that, was about like 2-3 hours long, maybe.
Okay.
They've cut about 2 hours of that out.
Oh, really?
You're on a ship that's kind of crashing at the very beginning of the game, and I remember going out onto like the top of the ship and fighting some people on the top of the ship and trying to get to the command room or whatever you want to call it. None of that existed in this version. You just kind of go, like, that's all just been cut out. You know, you go from literally the whole section of the ship has just been cut from the game. And like I says, I enjoyed it, like getting down to where you, like, when, you know, ship crashes, and no spoilers, but when you get down to the next section of the game, it's kind of a bit of an open map, and there's loads. You just go whatever way you want to and come across the situations, but there's no guidance. There's no guidance for anything. It's like, here's your list of moves.
Yeah.
Some things will work, some things won't. Go and enjoy the game.
Yeah.
So I went into I was trying to sneak up on, there was like these rogue fellas in a chapel, and I was trying to sneak up on them, but I didn't realize you have to split your party or make everybody try and hide. So I had my main character just sneaking in real slowly, and these other 3 characters just walking in, you know, just like sauntering in behind me, and of course someone saw them and got me into a fight, and I wasn't prepared for it all. Game over, like wipe, because I wasn't, you know, I had like the wrong people, and I wasn't really set up correctly, and you know, you get disadvantaged, you miss a few rolls or whatever. So it's listen, man, I think for D&D fans out there, it's going to be a great game. We're going to do a couple of episodes on the podcast on it as we go through like the acts, because it's a massive game.
Yeah.
And a couple of us have picked it up, but no, having a blast.
That'd be great, Jay. You do that on stages for sure. Like,
yeah, and it was that long, and especially because, you know, there'll be other things coming out. I'm looking forward to like Super Mario Brothers Wonders out in November, and I think, you know, the great thing about Baldur's Gate is it's a real, I hope when it comes to the multiplayer, I haven't tried it yet, but I hope it's a real jump in and jump out. So if I head off and spend a couple of weeks playing Mario Brothers Wonders, and just hop back in with the lads wherever they are.
Back.
I might be a little bit under leveled, but like, it'd still be good fun.
Catch up as well, like, just do side stuff if you have to.
But for this episode, actually, you know, before I get into the episode, I'll probably just lay down some housekeeping to keep people updated. We are changing the release date of the podcast from a Wednesday to a Thursday. So if you're listening to this, it hasn't come out on Wednesday. You're listening to this on a Thursday. Sorry, we didn't tell you before. This is just to give us time to like record the episodes and put stuff up from the Patreon. And also, if you haven't signed up for the Patreon, but you enjoy listening to the podcast, check us out at patreon.com/The Gift of Gaming. There's loads of extra content in there that you can sit back and enjoy when you're done with the normal episodes. And that's all the housekeeping I have, Kev. That's it. I'm just going to lay it out there. And this episode is, we were talking about movies, video games that have been made about movies or in honor of films, whatever else. And when you and me met up about this originally, we were talking about it, there was a couple of things that came to mind. Star Wars, of course, Lord of the Rings. But today, when I was like sitting down and looking at it, there was so much stuff, and especially from me being really, really young, that I was looking at screenshots of. I was playing quick YouTube videos of the in-game stuff, and I had such a blast of nostalgia.
The exact same thing for me. I was watching hours of gameplay of games that I probably haven't touched in, God, it'd be close to 2 decades in some cases. You know what I mean? It's just crazy to think. Which
one would have taken to kind of kick us off? What one would have taken your fancy, or were you most surprised at, or most, what's the word looking for here, fond of when you remembered?
Yeah, one of the fondest memories for one of these games, and I think also surprising the fact that it was made, because like the premise of the game is great, but like the movie itself is a cult classic in The Warriors.
Oh man, I have it on my list.
Like, what a game. And it's like peak Rockstar, and I think the whole style. But like I love when a game, when it's derived from a movie, it's like almost like shot for shot, and they use like the cutscenes almost from the movie as well. And that's what this one does. Like, it is just a movie pasted into a game. There's obviously bits that are added to it.
They did a whole prologue to the game. Because the sad thing about the movie is the leader of the Warriors, it's not Cochise. What was the guy's name?
Oh,
the
my
chief.
God. Oh, sorry, the main guy from the Warriors now, or
the main guy from the Warriors who gets wrecked at the start of the film.
Yeah, the curly haired guy.
And he's wearing like the leopard print kind of like
got the bandana. I can't think of it now. It's gone from me.
You lose him in the movie, but the great thing about the game is you get a whole prologue of him pulling the Warriors together, like getting the band back together, whatever, which is such a great addition.
Yeah, because they added a fair bit of, because obviously like the movie itself, like the runtime isn't 2 hours, so like they obviously have to stretch that out for gameplay.
Yeah.
So a lot of the side quests give you the backstory for each member of the Warriors as well, which is obviously something completely new that they brought into it, and they did it very, very well.
Yeah.
But the style of the game itself, like it's such a, like the fan service in it is just fantastic. Like they had every single group from the movie that you could fight against. Like, do you remember the lads with the paint on their face? The
Baseball Furies.
God almighty, they were terrifying.
There was so many good ones. My favorite and he's a bit of a wimp, but my two favorite guys in the movie, and even they continued on to the game, was Snow, which was a big Afro guy, and then Cowboy, who was the guy who wore a cowboy hat. And the great thing about the game was, you know, it's a really good. If people haven't seen the Warriors before, you should have a look. It was like a kind of a beat 'em up, like I would say open world beat 'em up. But you kind of just run around and you just kind of, you know, swing arms and stuff like that. Great co-op mode in it as well. But you could if you hit someone hard enough, you'd knock their hat off. And Cowboy always wore his hat. And one of my favorite things was after there was a big fight, you know, because me and my brother played through the entire game as a co-op. You get into a big tussle, you barely scrape it out, and your guys are all, you know, cut up and bloodied or whatever. And I'd always go over to pick up my hat and put it on my head at the end. There was a whole, like, every time that happened, and Cowboy always said something like, "Oh, my hat," you know. I always had a little quip for like picking up, but all that kind of stuff. Because in the movie, Cowboy does the same thing. I think after a fight, he picks up his hat and says, but it's all those little touches. Where
I think each of the characters or each of the warriors has like a special move that is quite unique to them, and it will be derived from the film. Like I can't remember the name of the guy's name, but the guy who's the graffiti artist from the group.
I'm maybe going to embarrass myself here. Was it Rembrandt?
I don't know if it was Rembrandt. I think that might have been it now. The names of these guys are after totally going.
It's a long time since I've seen the movie or played the game.
The game. I don't think I played the game since about like release at most, which is like the mid 2000s. But like the graffiti lad, like his finishing move would be like spray you in the eyes, you know what I mean?
Blind them.
Yeah. I think that was actually like one of the only parts of the game that I didn't like was like you had to do a lot of tagging. It was a huge like a graffiti tagging to like get like points.
I wonder what dates what that game was released. Was it like pre or post San Andreas? Because there was so many missions that were, it must have been post San Andreas maybe graphically, but there were so many missions that were so reminiscent from San Andreas. You know, in San Andreas you had the stealth missions that you had to like go into people like the mansion and sneak around. And there was that, and there was the tagging. And the tagging was just you press a button and CJ in Grand Theft Auto, you know, tagged graffitied the wall. But in this one, you have to follow a line, like follow a W to actually.
Yeah. Yes.
But it had such a rock star feel about it, such a Grand Theft Auto feel about it. You'd be sneaking around gangs' houses and like tagging their living room while they're all asleep or like, you know, coked out or whatever else on their beds or whatever.
I remember thinking as well when I was playing it that it was giving me like it was quite like Manhunter, like the way they moved about and the stealth moves as well. Like, obviously it's all from the Rockstar as well.
It's all Rockstar, yeah.
So like obviously it's a very specific feel that they're going for, but like just as a movie to be like it's such a cult classic. Like I don't think most people have watched The Warriors, or if they have,
and if they haven't, they should. One of the quotes from it where I forget his name, but the guy who's following the Warriors, or the guy who sets
3 bottles.
He's got the 3 bottles on his fingers, and he's clinking them together at the beach because he wants the Warriors to come out and fight him because he wants to kill them, and he's like packing a gun the whole time, which is against the rules for you know, for gang warfare or whatever. And he's like clinking the bottles, just like Warriors come out to play, and that part of the movie was quite unsettling, but that's become like a quote all the time. If someone says something or says something in a similar tone to him, we'll always quote that bit from the movie. But apparently that bit from the movie was ad-libbed.
Oh, he did that himself?
Did himself. Oh, yeah, I remember reading an interview. The car that they were sitting in for that scene, to make it seem kind of dusty and dirty, had loads of bottles and cans and rubbish in it. And I think they were waiting for a while to get shooting. So he just started messing about into the 3 bottles. But it's that clinking noise. And it does this thing in the movie where it cuts from, you know, scene to scene when they're down at the pier, and all you can hear is the bottles clinking together, and it's actually it's almost kind of horror film kind of vibes. Like
they do that like shot for shot in the game as well. Yeah, and I think the original actor came back to voice it because that was the case for a lot of the cast.
Yeah, there was a good few. I think a couple of the guys had died by the time the game came out actually. But yeah, there was that movie I watched to death. Like there's one of my favorite scenes in that film, and again it's replicated in the movie and it's replicated in the game, is where I think Swan, who's like the new leader of the Warriors after Cochise bites the dust. It's not Cochise, his name was something else, I can't remember. But Swan's running down the road, and that lady on the radio was telling all the other gangs where the Warriors are. And then it's the Furies, the baseball Furies come out, and it's all these guys in full baseball attire with baseball bats, just hunting these guys down through the Bronx, and it's terrible. If any listeners out there, if you have not seen The Warriors, the film, you should definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, it's an absolute classic.
Game's great too. Yeah, really enjoyed that
for sure.
I think that was one of my favorite co-op experiences from being younger as well, because we went through the entire game as a 2-player to finish it. So.
Yeah, I think I remember loving the co-ops part as well, but I think there was only one aspect of the co-op that just didn't work, where like it could never quite figure out should it split the screen. Do you remember having this problem at all? If your characters went far enough away, it would split screen, but when they started coming back closer, it would eventually go back to single screen, but it
wasn't smooth.
It was like very jarring.
And in fairness, like
small complaint.
When you think like we were only talking in the news episode last week about how the local multiplayer for Baldur's Gate 3 won't work on the Xbox Series S. They can't get the split screen working. And it's interesting because you don't see too many games where it'll go from split screen to will merge into one singular screen when you're close enough. So it was probably like a bit of tech that was quite ahead of its time for the Warriors game. You don't see it too much. I was looking at like we'll get into the big ones like the Lord of the Rings and the Star Wars, of course, but I was looking through other ones, and I didn't get too far in this one now, in fairness, but it's a funny one I wanted to put in. But me and my two brothers rented, after seeing the Men in Black film, we rented the Men in Black, the video game, from Extravision on a Friday night, and I had to give it back. Like it was that classic thing where it was only 24 hours or less. It was a really short rental. And we said, great, you play some Men in Black, and we turned it on. The start of the game is at a helipad at like this kind of institution, like for science, whatever, this lab. We couldn't get out of that screen. We couldn't, the game would start and we'd hear your character moving, but we couldn't see him to know what was going on, and we run around for ages, and like the whole night we were trying for ages. God, the game must be broken. Kept like turning off, turning back on again. We gave up, and then Saturday morning, I think we were still trying and getting real annoyed. We called our dad in and we're like, oh, I think it's broken, whatever else. And he's like, God, the screen's really dark. And the screen was really dark. So we just turned the brightness up on the TV, and you saw your little, Will Smith character down the bottom left. And we'd already lost 12 hours of our rental with the game.
Damn.
Yeah, so we gave up on that one. But I have really fond memories of just the hilarity of playing that, movie video game that probably wasn't, in hindsight, probably wasn't good. I should have checked out what these games reviewed as, actually. But Men in Black would be one of my favorite ones that I thought of. Was an old one as well, but it's the Toy Story 2.
Oh, they were classics, the Toy Story ones back in the PS1 days.
The PS1 days, isn't it? You played as Buzz Lightyear in that one.
Yeah.
And I remember just being absolutely blown away by starting that game, and you're in Andy's room, and it looked like Andy's room from the movie I had just seen, like, the previous year or whatever. Thought it was amazing looking, and what was really cool about that was 2-3 years ago, when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, one of the first places you go to is the Toy Story world.
Oh, perfect.
And you're playing as a toy Sora, but running around Andy's room. Now, obviously, a much better graphics and, much more, way more love put together, as an exact replica. But it immediately brought me back to playing Buzz Lightyear running around Andy's room in that game.
I was watching some, because that was one of the ones I was kind of thinking about as well. I can't remember which one I had, but I had one of them on the PS1. And I was like, oh, does that, because when you like 10, 15, whatever, how many years have passed since you played the game, do you must have a favor there? 10 years, it's way more than that. Like,
yeah. I was 22.
Way more. But I went back and I watched some clips of it on YouTube, because I was like, does it hold up as well? Like do the graphics still hold? And I think because like it was a cartoon, like obviously like Pixar cartoons are excellent, but it holds up better than...
It doesn't hold up to... Like, it doesn't look too bad at all.
Yeah.
It just... I'd imagine it would be very, very clunky.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Even watching the character... I think they was trying to make Buzz jump onto the famous, like, Disney Pixar toy ball.
Yeah.
I think you could jump up on that and roll around, maybe. Roll with that around the room.
Yeah.
And even watching whoever was playing this YouTube video... trying to jump up onto it, I was like, oh yeah, that was probably a very clunky game,
I have a lot of memories in those sort of games. Like, and even actually one of the ones I was kind of thinking about, like, like the Harry Potter games as well.
Nice, that's on my list. Yeah, should we get into it?
Well, sure. Sorry, but the early ones, I don't know if you remember the Philosopher's Stone. the movement in it was only forward, back, left, right.
Yeah.
There was no analog sticks at all. And there was just a series of like quests that you'd have to do that involved jumping on a platform that would like shake and fall if you stood on it for too long, and you have to like collect birdie bots every 5 greens or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember like putting hours into what on paper should be the most basic and straightforward thing to do. It's only like 5 jumps and then you're done.
Yeah.
But the mechanics,
the precision you needed,
the hours I sunk into this, and I don't even think I was like bad at games at that point. Like I was probably young, but I was like, I had the patience to stick with it as well and persevere. And that was early in the game as well.
And that's the thing with those older games as well. Because when we get to Star Wars, there's one game I want to talk about when we get to Star Wars. Eventually, it was called Jedi Power Battles, but it had this weird perspective thing where you would jump, further away from you as a viewer, like so jumping towards the back of the screen to jump onto ledges to go upwards, but the perspective and the depth of field was way off. So like you think you're jumping right on this thing and your character just like falls down a hole and dies. All game was really suffered from that kind of, just the mechanics weren't there, I guess, But those things were tough. But yes, speaking of Harry Potter, what made your list for a Harry Potter game? Did you just have the Philosopher's Stone, or? Well,
I was thinking of them like the collection, because you have to kind of separate them a little bit. There's the one that's based on the movies, and then there's kind of the ones that are set in the universe. So I kind of think that they're ever so slightly different. With the games that are specifically based on the movies, from the Order of the Phoenix is quite good.
Okay.
They're not all very good.
I watched a clip today from the Deathly Hallows Part 2 on game. And it was that thing where I was like, okay, some games just did not look fantastic, and that one just didn't age well,
Yeah. I found with them, like, I didn't play every single one of them. No. I used to. I think when I was younger, I thought they were great, and then as you got older, I realized like these aren't great. These aren't great games.
But they're real nostalgia. Like I love there's the famous picture of Hagrid's face that's like memed a lot through video games. It's from the Philosopher's Stone, isn't it? Yeah. So I love that kind of aspect of it, because it was fairly crap looking, but there's like I got such a joy out of going back through these games, because I was like filled with such nostalgia, because I was even thinking of these old Harry Potter games. I kind of thought I could just put myself in the position that I was in, and I know looking at it now, God, it wouldn't be that doesn't look like a very good game, but I can remember me playing it and just being in absolute awe of the whole thing,
Yeah, like, and I think there was like other aspects to it as well. Like by the time I got to, I think the 5th one, which I think was the Order of Phoenix, it was a bit more open world-y. Like not that it was open world, but for sure in the earlier games you were fairly much on.
I'm assuming you're probably onto what, PS2 or almost PS3 by Order of the Phoenix, is this?
PS2 I had it on, yeah. And then I think I got Deathly Hallows Part 1, I think, on the Xbox 360. So I think that the last of them probably came out by about like 20.
PS3 era was probably the last. I don't remember a Harry Potter game coming out for PS4, with the exception of Legacy.
Well, of course, yes, of course, yeah. Retrospectively, how do you feel about that game?
I have not picked it up since I finished it.
Yeah.
But same. That's not. I still think it's a wonderfully. For a WB to come out and make an open world game in the Harry Potter realm like that, and they hit so many things so well. I think I said it before when we did our games club on it, was that they've laid the foundation so well, and there's so much good Harry Potter universe stuff in it. But yeah, there was nothing even now. Like it was a game when I was playing it, I was like, I'm going to platinum the heck out of this game, and I deleted that from my. Because I needed space for Warzone or whatever else. I deleted that like a week or two after I finished it, and have not put it back on my PlayStation. But that's not to say I really enjoyed my playing of it. It had its problems, but I really enjoyed my playing of that game.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Like I don't like there's no shred of regret for it was a fun game. It did exactly what I wanted from it, which was to give me an open world experience and to be able to level up and choose to brew the potions, take charge of your room of requirement, do whatever way you want, and play the game how you feel. And I was like, this is brilliant. So like and I think the fan service as well was great. You got to do literally every aspect that you could want to do.
With the exception of Quidditch, the monsters.
God damn it! I kind of forgotten about that. But then I remember, like some of the points Craig was making on that episode, I was just like, I can't ignore that. That is actually so valid.
it was and it's that thing of like, because I did and it is funny when you're doing like when we do the Games Club episodes and we're reviewing games. Like I'm going off topic a little bit here, but it is funny. Like we did Final Fantasy 16, and I'd finished the game that day. I think with Hogwarts Legacy, I'd finished the game 2-3 days prior to doing that episode, and it's that like filled with like, woo, that was such a fun. And then like I gave Hogwarts Legacy like a really solid 7. I'm probably at a 6 right. No, well, yeah, maybe probably at a 6 right now. But I know it's got massive things for improvement. But like a game like that, like to bring it back into our topic, like based off like the Harry Potter realm and seeing the things that we saw in the movies in those graphics, like walking around Hogwarts in that game was a joy. And I spent so much. I didn't even bother going out and doing quests for so long because I was like, I'm going to learn my way around Hogwarts, and it was such a joy to see what was so beautifully created in the movies from the books to be so lovingly recreated then in the video game. That was just a joy to just like immerse yourself in.
And like without a doubt, I suppose like the movies themselves are the visuals that were used to like to design the the castle, for example. Like it's like it all does stem from that. Like so to actually see it come to life is amazing. But I had the same problem as you. I went mad on the exploration because that's what I was there for. And then when I'd go back to the main story, I think I was playing the main story for about like a couple hours, like completing missions without actually having to do anything because I'd already leveled up.
You
like
were so
that.
powerful. At
Yeah,
that point.
I was like, all right, come on, let's go.
That was the kind of problem with that game, in that it had the main story narrative, and it's like that. It's like my problem with Star Wars films, and the new Star Wars stuff that's coming out, every other year now. There's such a massive universe there to pull from, and I just don't know if people are pulling from the right things, the right inspiration to and I thought the same with Hogwarts Legacy. I was like, there's a whole wizarding world with all these, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure a lot of the stuff would be, created on the spot for the games, because I'm sure J.K. Rowling didn't write everything for the entire universe all off. There's lots of fan fiction and stuff out there, but there's so much to pull from, and they just didn't really pull from the right stuff. Like the narrative, the main storyline in that wasn't gripping at all for me.
No, it really wasn't. But I suppose they've got, as you said, lots of directions to go if that decides to be the decision. Like, it must have been a super profitable game regardless of
but I mean, it beat all
like,
their expectations, which was nice. On the same train of Harry Potter, did you ever play the Quidditch World Cup?
Yes, I did. Yeah, that's gold. I absolutely adore that game. Like, that's what made me so sad that it wasn't in Legacy. Like that, it's one of those gripping parts of that universe. Yeah, like their very own sport, and Quidditch World Cup did it well. I thought, like,
I mean, we that was another game that we rented, myself, Kev B and Luke. The three of us rented that game, and we stayed over in Kev's. This is when we were really young, and we were all staying over in Kev's house, and we played it and finished it almost in a night. There was three of us stayed up for as long as we could, trying to play through it. But unfortunately for the game, even as a young kid, I'd be probably very aware of it now in terms of watching what AI does, like the NPC characters or whatever. I cracked the game. We cracked the game. Do you know what I mean? We said, if you pass the ball over here and go in this direction, you've got a free run to go up this, up the left flank. Yeah. So we won every. Yeah, we won every game. You know what I mean? So it ended up becoming quite easy. But I love that, and I think as an Irish person, knowing that Ireland was one of the best Quidditch teams in the world through the Harry Potter lore, playing that game then afterwards, I was like, this is so good. And harking back to the movies, in the Order of the Goblet of Fire, we get to see Ireland versus Bulgaria in the Quidditch World Cup final, and Ireland wins it. So playing the game version of that and playing as Ireland was great.
It's an absolute buzz. It's such a good city. Like, to be fair, like the I suppose the universe itself is just made to be turned into games, and I'm delighted they've done it, and I hope that they keep doing it. Like, I do think what you said about Legacy, it has such potential to go in any direction that they want, and just explore the wider wizarding universe. Go off and make a story about auras or something.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. Is like, don't get me wrong, the Hogwarts thing, and I love the classroom stuff as well. Like, I'm like the Persona 5, and Craig would back me up on this kind of stuff. We're both big into like the Fire Emblem classroom, Persona 5 classroom, where you're like building up your stats, and then you head out into the real world. I'd love I'm in 6th year and 7th year in Hogwarts, and the rest of the game is you going out into the world with a profession. Do you know what I mean? As a wizard, I think that'd be where they'd need to go. And like that with the Fantastic Beasts and those kind of films, they've kind of opened up, like, what it's like outside of the world of Hogwarts. When you're just doing random wizarding stuff in London. Do you know what I mean? So there's a whole other stuff for the film to pull from to make a game that exists outside of just the Hogwarts school. Do you know what I mean? I love it.
It's so good.
Other series in terms of movies and stuff like that I was looking at, and one I couldn't not mention because I'm a big fan of sim games and park builder games. I'm going to hit up on Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park Evolution. Building my own Jurassic Park was a great shout. And I played Evolution 2 recently enough, like maybe at the beginning of this year. I played it, and it's got all the I had no time for those newer films, I thought they were fairly trashy, not amazing. But it did have all the different kind of things that they had in those movies. You remember like the sphere bubbles that the kids are trying to get away in. You could get like a ride that had those things, and you'd see, you know, your park people coming into your Jurassic Park and going through the enclosures and little bubble things, making sure your T-Rex didn't fuck them up and all that kind of stuff.
And was there a potential for a mess up? Like, could there have been not a real life Jurassic Park?
I messed up the park and I got a phone call from the president. You know, Darren, we've got a real life situation. So there was, and it's funny. These games, and I say evolution, and really the first one I should have mentioned was Jurassic Park Genesis, which was the first park building Jurassic Park simulator to come out. It was on PS2, and I think games back then have a certain kind of charm to them as opposed to modern games, and evolution doesn't really capture that charm. But yes, in this one, yes, you can have situations where dinosaurs break out and everyone panics and you got to get them into shelter rooms. But in Operation Genesis, which was a PS2 game, and like one of my favorite games ever, but a massive pull on your memory card. Like it was a classic. How many, you know, how at the 8 megabytes is probably most of it, you know. But you could have the class looking, you know, the Ranger cars, the Jeeps that they had in the original film with the cool coloring. You could build and research a ride that you'd put it in, and it would drive around that enclosure. And you could take control of it if you want to drive around yourself. You could hop in or take pictures and sell the pictures for a bit of money for the park. But it was cool that if you ever put it in an enclosure with a predator, sometimes the predator would attack and it would let you know, and you could immediately hop into the driver's seat to make your getaway.
Oh, class! And
then we had a big T-Rex enclosure, and you know I get the notification, be like, oh, we have an emergency. The Ranger thing's being attacked, and you hop into the car and you like put it in reverse and get the hell out of there and try and park it back in the thing. So there was quite exciting little bits like that in it, but it was brilliant. And I think it's the perfect game, Jurassic Park kind of game. There was like there's older ones. There was the older one on the SNES. Andrew brought it up on the episode that he was on a couple of weeks ago. There was a really hard one on the Super Nintendo. A lot of fun, but impossible.
I had a PC one at one point, but I'm struggling to remember the name of it now together. But it was just like a basic just click and point and move, and like if you came across debris or something that you could use, you could build campsites, all this sort of stuff. But the best part about this game is that you could like pick up like a cattle prod, let's say. It was based on the second movie. Yeah, it was The Lost World Jurassic Park. It was based on the second one because I remember playing as Vince Vaughn's character. And like it would be like, you're Vince Vaughn and you're clearly Vince Vaughn, looks so like him, and you've picked up a cattle prod, and it's like you're against a Stegosaurus, and it's like you've used prod, and it's like,
oh my god, like,
and then it uses tail whip and you're fucking gone.
That's it. Good night. And so that's what I mean. Like Jurassic Park was a game. It was very clever of them to do that, because the whole movie is them. They're at Jurassic Park or whatever, but the whole movie is them trying to leave it and get out of it. And there was a couple of games that we played. There was an old one on the PlayStation 1, and I can't remember. You were just kind of this random dude, and you were just fighting off dinosaurs in the wild kind of thing. It was a Jurassic Park game. Really, really good. Had a really good the opening for it was amazing. This guy was running. It was like a first person perspective, and he was running and he was panicked, and he kept looking at his little radar thing on his wrist that would show him all these red dots getting closer to his point, and you'd hear raptors in the background.
That's scary.
But it was really, really cool. But the game itself was meh, but it was such a stroke of genius to say, well, why don't we just turn Jurassic Park games into a sim, like a park building.
It makes loads of sense.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah,
so good.
The fan service of it alone, like if you're a fan, it crosses borders that like obviously people are going to want to do. Like if you're a Jurassic Park fan, great. If you're a fan of those sort of games, fantastic.
Exactly, like same thing. And you could do these cool things where you get like, much like in the movies, you could go to certain, so you couldn't get every dinosaur. You had to choose wisely which dinosaurs you were going for. So I'd make my guys go and dig for amber or dig for fossils, so I could get maybe the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex. And then I'd put them in the same enclosure, and they'd have a fight for who'd take territory. Do you know what I mean? And as a kid, a PS2 era game, and I don't do that with games anymore now, because I'm always like, where's the next level up? I'm always in a rush when I play games now. But as a kid, I just zoomed right into that fight and just watched the T-Rex and the Spinosaurus, and I was just like, my park can wait. I'm watching that. I'm watching this fight happen.
It's way more important.
So Jurassic Park games were class. You got anything else on your radar?
I don't know if is it a big franchise, or like wouldn't it be as big as some of the other ones we've mentioned, but James Bond games are just an absolute gem. And I think like a lot of times when you bring that one up, I think the classic to go to is GoldenEye, but for me there's actually one that's probably the best.
I wonder if I'm going to open my thing and just show you to see what is.
Is it everything or nothing?
No, mine was The World Was Not Enough.
Oh, that's a good. They came out around the same time.
Yeah.
So this one's like its own standalone story. It's not based off of
the movies.
It's the same universe, obviously, because there's a lot of callbacks in it. But it's Pierce Brosnan. It's clear as day Pierce Brosnan. He's the voice actor for it. They pumped money into this game. It's basically a sequel to the last one he did, Die Another Day. And like when I was looking this up like online, because I remind myself of it, like some of the reviews on it are so funny because people are like, this is the send off Pierce Brosnan deserved, because the game is epic.
He never got the film.
Yeah,
like, he just got
the film was like so bad, and like the story in this one is genuinely better. But like, you know, Willem Dafoe is the bad guy in it. They've got Heidi Klum as the Bond girl in it.
As with the voice actors,
they're all the voice actors in it. Maya, that singer, she's also in it. They get the original Jaws, the guy with the metal teeth, Richard Keel. He reprises his role as Jaws, which like this is obviously the Pierce Brosnan Bond game, so like canonically, like the timeline makes no sense whatever. But it doesn't matter because they're just giving you what you want to see. They're giving you like it's just pure fan service from start to finish. Judi Dench voices herself in it.
Jesus, imagine the budget for that film.
I mean, they literally put money into it. But like the game itself is excellent. Like I had it on PS2. It came out mid 2000s, and the style, it's like third person. Like not standard, I'm gonna say, because I'm raving about this game, but it kind of gives me like, you know, Uncharted kind of like vibes, like the movement and the kind of combat style. Now there's no like real climbing elements to it or anything like that, but it kind of like stylistically looks that way a little bit. But you just move from like territory to territory, doing the most James Bond-esque missions you could do, but like they've just gone for it. The villains are over the top. The explosions are over the top.
Heck, you know?
Yeah, there's all these moments in it called, you know, like to get like a perfect score and that level, like there'll be a certain amount of like Bond moments. So like you could take on, let's say, 6 guys with a gun, but above them there's like a canister that can be dropped and it kills them all. So if you do the cool Bond thing, it'll go like doo-doo, doo-doo.
Or like doo-doo.
But there's that's exactly it. But there's one moment in the game where to get that, you have to give a woman a back rub, and I was like, the lads, it's a little too on the nose, that one.
And he was like giving this like very what would you say, like PS2 graphics woman a back rub, and I hear in the background is like doo-doo.
That's exactly what happens. It's exactly what happens in the game. But it's just such a callback because it's just in between that Pierce Brosnan kind of sillier gadget movies where there's invisible cars.
They were fantastic films.
Oh, they served a purpose.
Yeah, like for me, they were, you know, for any listener who's listened to this outside of Ireland, we have a thing on a Saturday on our national TV channel, RTE, called The Big Big Movie. So every Saturday at like 6:30 for the youngins, they'd put on, like, there'd be a film on, and always it was like, you know, you'd get the James Bond films with like bits cut out. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it was still before 9 p.m. So you'd get a couple of a James Bond film with a couple of cuts. But I remember, what's the ice one?
Like the Pierce Brosnan ice one. That's the Die Another Day. That's the last one he did.
That one it's awful, but it's so much fun.
There's a guy in it called Diamond Face.
He's got
diamonds in his face. And then there's the other guy, Gustav Graves, wasn't it? He was fake James Bond, but he was like a North Korean general who went under a load of plastic surgery or something.
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
Like and it has the whole scene where like they're in, is he on skis or a jet ski, and the other guy's in a racing car, and they're just going across the ice. Like, it's just silly fun. And he has all those meetings with Q, and he's like, Don't worry, Bond. I've put not 1, not 2, but 8 miniguns in your car here. Like, you'll be fine.
John Cleese is Q at that point as well, so it's just really hammy. Yeah. He's in that game as well. Like, so that movie, it's just the game just expands on it, but actually does it better in a way because it's a game. Because now you're getting to experience Bond, the lunacy. Like, you get cars that go invisible. At one point, you're driving a tank through Moscow. And I'm pretty sure that also can go invisible. Like, it's just chaotic from start to finish, but the gameplay is excellent and the story is super fun.
I love that. I love that. Bond, man, because I had it then. I had GoldenEye on mine as well, but I think GoldenEye's the thing that you could talk about till the cows come home. But I think the more fun ones were those ones, especially as you said. I think a lot of games came out during the Pierce Brosnan era of Bond, so they're just fun. Fun. We're moving along on time here, Kev. So would it be remiss of us not to actually get into two of the biggest, I suppose, video game movie franchises going. Do you want to kick it off with Lord of the Rings or Star Wars first?
What are you feeling? I suppose there's probably more games in the Star Wars universe. I would think.
Would we get that one? Ooh, no, let's do Lord of the Rings,
Yeah,
and then see how much Star Wars we can fit in.
That's how we do it.
So for me, there's one I have to an honorable mention of a Lord of the Rings game, and it's not actually. I mean, it's probably against the rules for this episode because it's not actually based on a film. But me and my brother played through the Lord of the Rings: The Third Age.
Oh, the RPG.
Yeah.
I played that.
It's amazing, and like there's a dwarf called Hadhod.
Yeah. Yes.
I can't remember what the other characters. I just played as a dwarf called Hadhod.
Yeah.
But what's hilarious is it's like this B team fellowship
Mm-hmm. Yes.
who go to all the places the main guys do, but they're always just a little bit late.
15 minutes after.
just a little bit late, you know. Aragorn and co have already done their thing, and then you're just there to pick up scraps. But I love how it just takes you through the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, as the Fellowship Part 2, you know? That don't actually...
I don't even think they, tried to mask that because, when you're building your team, I know you were saying you played as the elf. I think I played as either the Ranger or the Knight from Gondor. Yeah. I think I played as the Ranger. He's just the bop off Aragorn.
Oh, 100%.
The spits of him. And, as you were saying there, the moments where you're just ever so slightly too late, one of the best moments, I think, is when they're in the Mines of Moria and they're in the area or the crypt, I suppose, underneath after Merry or Pippin knocks the bucket off, and you just hear Gandalf through the ceiling be like, "Oh, you fool of a tooth!" And I was like, "Oh, that's so silly."
But I love because we watched the movies because we do it every year at Christmas time. We usually watch the movies, and we were playing that game kind of maybe after the summer or whatever, and we watched the films, and we couldn't help ourselves. My brother, anytime it was a certain scene, I was like you said, the bit in the crypt, and Pippin knocks the bucket down. I was like, Hadhod was down floor down, apparently. According to this game, he was right there, just the floor below the guys. That one was a lot of fun, but I suppose we need to go into the game ones. And I'm assuming we're both ready to talk about Return of the King, right?
That's the best. It has to be the best Lord of the Rings game. Would we?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, the Two Towers and the Fellowship were great, but the fact that this one was 2-player.
Yeah. Oh, the co-op aspect added so much. That was one of the few games my brother would love to play. He played games when we were younger, but then he kind of just felt you grew out of it. Dick. No, but I could always wrangle him in for a bit of co-op.
Rings.
Yeah. That was his bread and butter. Who did you play as?
So I played as Gimli for the most part, and then the moment you go through the storyline, and you can only play certain characters in certain storylines. So we did a co-op, and I think it was always Aragorn, and I played as Gimli.
Nice.
And in the main storyline, and then I was always Sam when it was the Frodo and Sam story, and then when it went to the cool Pippin Gandalf side thing, I was always Pippin's my favorite Lord of the Rings character ever. So what was really, really funny about that game was, and the leveling up system, that was so satisfying.
It really was.
So satisfying. Learning the new combos. There was this great, I'll never forget, one of my favorite gaming memories from being a lot younger. There's a mission that has nothing to do with the actual, well, you never see it in the films. You're on your way to, I think, get on the ships to get to fight in the last fight. So you've got the Army of the Dead, and you're making your way to the port to get to the last battle, essentially. Yeah. So you have to cross this gate, this fortress, and it's just in this in the middle of nowhere, kind of very brown landscape, and it's just this thing. And you're outside trying to get in for ages, but there's it's unlimited enemies. So there's
I know exactly where you are. Yeah,
there's unlimited enemies, and for anyone who remembers playing Return of the King, there was a move that you could do, I think, if you was an R2 possibly for a parry that you do without the perfect moment, and it would immediately put you into perfect mode, and you would just annihilate everybody. And I remember playing as Gimli, and Gimli had this great move that his parry would be like he did in the movie. He'd spin it all around his back, and then trip them up and then bring it down on top of their chest. It looked really, really cool. But I was just doing that constantly, and my brother was playing as Aragorn, doing his perfect thing, and we were just two. In the middle of this field, bright white, blue kind of characters, just perfecting all of these enemies with no intention of actually getting on with the level. It was just how many guys can we kill here? So satisfying.
It was such a good game, and as you were saying, the level and up thing was great. I did play as Aragorn, and by the end of it,
level 20,
invincible.
Yeah,
the imagery of it as well, just little tweaks, where by the time you'd pass, like, let's say like level 10 in your like swordsmanship or whatever, like there was just a little flint, like a little guide of gold behind your sword every time you swung it. Because you're just getting that much better. Man, that game was great. And like, did you complete it to the point that it gave you every other character?
So
Faramir came in.
Faramir came into it, and I loved it because when it did that, you could play as any character in any level. So then I just went through the game playing as Pippin in every level that I could, because he's in his cool Gondor robes. He's got a little helmet on and the cloak. You know, it's like, you know, War Pippin or whatever. It was great. I played that game constantly, and it was a game that we kept going back to.
Yeah, the replayability of that. Well, playing as the different characters, like they have a different like skill set. Like skill set's probably a bit strong, but like the way they fight's completely different.
But I went and played. I played as Gimli the whole time, and I remember we picked it up again, you know, a couple of years later, and we said we'll hop into it. And I picked Legolas this time for funsies. But Jesus, Legolas was OP as heck. I remember really having to try, much like the movies, where like Gimli's like, that still only counts as one, and Legolas is getting all these kills. That's exactly what was happening. You upgrade Legolas in a certain way with all his bow moves. He is the Legolas from the films.
Oh yeah,
he
is
this untouchable. And it was that was quite satisfying in itself. But I was like, this is too easy, you know.
It was always fun as well, like when you were playing as Gimli as well, like the never-ending supply of little axes that he had, like in his pouch, wherever. Like you could hold like 30 at a time or something. They're all the size of a hatchet. Like, it's like, where are they coming from, lad?
But it was great because you got all the cutscenes from the films. There was the fight, and I love how they kind of expanded on certain things, because the really cool fight. And maybe I'm a bit biased because it's a Pippin level, but when you're on the walls of Minas Tirith and all the orcs are coming onto the wall, and there's this like bar in the top corner that's filling up, and if it reaches max and stays on max for too long, you get overrun and it's a game over. So I remember really like the first time ever playing that level, and the tension, because you had to run and try and knock down all these ladders before all these Uruk-hai and orcs and stuff came onto the walls. And it was quite, you know, I was playing the game and like, Jesus, this is quite intense, and praying you didn't get that game over, you know. Really good stuff, like, you know. Yeah,
it's such a classic game. But I was thinking about that franchise in general, and like, without going, I suppose, too far into it, because like you could go with them all day. But like, what happened with the Fellowship of the Ring? Like, did you even play that?
No, for me.
Did anyone?
Like, I know it exists, but I don't think it exists in. I could be wrong saying this, and if I am, let me know at thegiftegamingpodcast@gmail.com. But I think the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers was a fairly different game to the Fellowship. I think they changed tact. Do you know what I mean, when they released the Two Towers? But I never even saw I never held the Fellowship of the Ring box. It was always the Two Towers. I mean, that game was phenomenally good as well. But the co-op made that game just.
I don't even know if you could say like if the first one was based on the movie, even, because like I was even looking at like some of the artwork from like the covers, and like the covers from the Two Towers and the Lord and the Return of the King quite clearly take from the movies, but there's no reference to any of the actors from what I could see to the Fellowship.
They're just trying something new.
I suppose there wasn't too much combat in it. Like, I don't know how you're going to get a game out of it. Like, at least in the movie.
Yeah, you're only going to get like that end scene in the forest, you know, with Boromir.
And that's how they start the Two
Towers
games.
Exactly, which is such an exciting level
right into the thick of it straight away. It's awesome,
I guess we'll probably hop on to Star Wars, because we've probably got tons. If you want to just touch the bottom of that lamp over there, Kev, just to get a bit of, because we're falling into darkness here. Nice, there you go. Expertly. But so Star Wars. I mean, when you think of a Star Wars video game, what's the first one that comes to your head?
So there's going to be recency bias in my head a bit here, because I did not finish it relatively recently, but I finished my second playthrough of Jedi Survivor.
Nice.
Super recently, like in the last couple of weeks.
And Fallen Order's the first one, Survivor's the second.
Yeah.
And because I never talked to you about this. I remember you said you were kind of getting into it ages ago when you first got it.
Yeah.
Good game, bad game? Second playthrough must be good.
I loved it. I really did love it. I enjoyed the first game massively. I know on a release it had its issues, and people said it was very, very buggy. But at the time I played Fallen Order, I think it was released for like 2 years at this point.
They fixed
so
everything.
I got a game with no issues, and Star Wars is my jam. So getting to play is like a whole new story, and getting to like they expand in the world of Star Wars probably better than any other game has in that universe. Yeah, I'd say. You're allowed to delve into, you know, universes that and you know, level up and train up as a Jedi, which was a really cool thing to do. But for the second one, the level that they built on it is just fantastic. Like the number of mechanics that they added to the game. Like in the first one, you have 2 lightsaber stances. In the second one, you've got 5, and like messing with them and figuring them out and figuring out the perks and the different ones that are powered in different ways, and like what type of enemies to take on. Should you do it from a distance?
And it's very customizable, isn't it, in terms of your lightsaber color and the blade itself.
You can completely mess around with that, and that's what makes some of the exploring so much fun, because you're finding chests, these versions of chests everywhere, and they might just have a piece to a lightsaber. They could have a new outfit, because that was one thing that Fallen Order got a bit of flack for. The only customization you could do to the character was wear a different poncho in a different color. It was just ponchos.
Yeah.
Or no poncho.
They made a joke to that, I think, when they were announcing the second movie. The actor
came out wearing the poncho. The pink poncho, the worst poncho. And so that's been completely, that's gone away now in this one. You can completely customize in this one.
It's canon to what's happening what happened in the sequel trilogy, right? What he's doing is actually happening in the Star Wars universe. Disney came in and said it's canon, right?
Yeah, it is definitely canon. I haven't noticed too much crossover in the stories, like the characters, unless there's now one of the Disney series that I haven't seen yet. There might be references.
Why I think they're probably better off than not.
I suppose can I give a spoiler? It's out long enough to give a spoiler at this point. Okay.
So we'll put up spoiler right now. If you haven't played Jedi Survivor, you want to stop listening for the next 30 to 40 seconds. Yeah.
So there is a series of side quests you can do, which is you kind of team up with this bounty hunter, and she will just be like, so and so has been spotted in this quadrant, and if you beat him in battle, you collect this disc. You can trade them in to upgrade some of your weapons, and so it's a great side mission to do, because they're all basically like boss fights. So it's real fun. There's it's probably close to 20 of them. If you do all of these, the last one you'll do is against the bounty hunter you're dealing with. She turns on you. Who flies in only to get involved is Boba Fett.
Nice.
So Boba Fett's one of the characters. There is like Darth Vader's and all this sort of stuff, but he was a surprise character in it. Mm-hmm. And I did watch bits of the Boba Fett series, but I didn't finish it through. The version in this game is that's how they should do Boba Fett. It's way more accurate to the lore. It's way more accurate to the universe than the series.
I love that they asked, I can't remember the actor's name, but the guy who did all the clone troopers, I love that they asked him back for Boba Fett. I think that was a nice idea. I don't think it worked though from the TVs. I mean, he shouldn't have been that old. No, he should have been a bit more nimble. And this guy, I mean, God, this guy's in his 50s, so he's not going to be able to pull that out of the hat. So they missed a beat there. But yeah, no, that's cool that you enjoyed that one. So there are two games. So I have Fallen Order. Mm-hmm. I don't have Survivor, but I have Fallen Order. God, I think it was available on the PlayStation Hits or something like that. Nice. And I still haven't. I did the opening about 2 months ago. I did the opening and really enjoyed the opening to that game, but I still haven't settled into it. But I'd love to give that one a shot. So that's your top Star Wars game.
Yeah, but I think there's one other thing about it that kind of irks me, but I don't know if it fully irks me because it is something that I'm glad we can do in the game. So I'm finding with the more content that's being pushed out in Star Wars that it's potentially kind of not cheapening per se, but kind of ruining the mystique around Darth Vader. Yeah. Because in both games you fight him. In Fallen Order and Survivor. You fight him. In the first one you fight him as Cal Kestis, who's the main character. And at this point he's very young, he's early adult age if
Cal is.
Yeah, he's not old, and he didn't get to complete his Jedi training. He's on paper a Padawan, and he manages to go toe to toe with Darth Vader and survive. So I was a bit I know that's for the service of the game, but I almost would have preferred.
Does nothing for the lore.
It does nothing for the lore, and then in the second game, you actually get the chance in this one to play as a different character, but very briefly. It's only for one specific part of the game, and you play as who becomes Cal Kestis' master. And she's training him in, and Darth Vader comes on into this new kind of Jedi temple, but unofficial Jedi temple. And so you start fighting him as her. And she's a Jedi Knight, but she's still just a Jedi Knight. This is Darth Vader. Yeah. You beat the piss out of him. Oh my God. So I was just this is, and he's doing his very Darth Vader scream and I'm just I shouldn't be hearing this so much. This is a regular Jedi Knight.
They're really toying with it because it's in Kenobi we saw a lot of the cool things Darth Vader could do, and at the end of Rogue One where he boards the ship.
That's
you
terrifying.
You get to see the Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like that's what everyone wants. Like the Anakin Skywalker who became Darth Vader. That's the one we all want to
That's
see.
who, when I picture like terrifying Darth Vader,
Yeah.
it goes to that Rogue One scene, and
Yeah.
then you see these other, like, I get it's for the game, and I get it so you get to have a chance to fight against the biggest bad you can in that universe, pretty much. But you shouldn't be beating them that easily.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think I'm gonna go in terms of one of my, and I know it's a bad game. I know it doesn't play well anymore, but one of my favorite Star Wars games of all time was Star Wars Jedi Power Battles for the PlayStation 1. And you had a roster of, this obviously came out before, I guess before we saw Mace Windu's lightsaber, because you get a choice of 5 characters. And as a whole, it's kind of like a, not an RPG, but very Lord of the Rings in terms of you develop them, learn new combos with them. You get 5 characters. You get Obi-Wan with a blue lightsaber, Qui-Gon with a green, Mace Windu with a blue.
Okay.
So they hadn't really, I guess they didn't know who Mace Windu really was. It was just like, they'd seen some notes by George Lucas. Then you got to play as Plo Koon, who, for any of the diehard Star Wars fans out there, he's one of the guys on the Jedi Council, and he gets shot down in a plane.
Tall forehead? No?
No, that's Ki-Adi-Mundi. Is his name.
Very nice.
I tell you, listen, I watched a lot of Star Wars in my time. No, Plo Koon is the kind of the yellow guy with the monster face almost?
Yes.
Plo Koon.
Yeah. Monster face.
Monster face. Prune face. Monster face. He's in it as well, and he had a yellow lightsaber. Yellow is my favorite color, so as a kid I always played as Plo Koon, and I have a massive, it was cool to see him in the movies, and afterwards I have a real affinity with this random dude who's in very little of the actual games or in the films. But Jedi Power Battles is going through the story of, it's called Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles, so you're going through the Phantom Menace as the game. All the levels. This is the one I was telling you that has a really big problem with perspective and depth, in that it's really challenging to actually, when they're trying to get into the throne room in Naboo in the first movie, and they're going up the windows, either like with the little gun things. In this game, you have to jump on the windowsills and Jedi jump, because you've got a cool double jump as a Jedi. But it's impossible.
It's set on a PS1 as well.
PS1, janky as hell. And so that, like, and if you fell and died, it was a life gone. And if you get a game over, it's I don't know how far I put you back, but it was a frustrating distance. You couldn't just save just before you started this. So we did that for ages. But the highlight of that game, it was so good, because like cool combos you could do, you could block lightsaber attacks and all that type of stuff. But if you're doing a 2-player, it was a 2-player game all the way through. The last mission was, you start off in this kind of cool like hallway with a red carpet, and as you start there, and of course I watched my brothers play through it before I ever got a chance to. They were playing as Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, much like the film, and you get to fight Darth Maul. But the whole episode that starts off with you appear there and you run forward a little bit, and you get a cutscene of Darth Maul swinging his dual lightsabers, and Duel of the Fates. Full blast comes onto the thing, and the two is you just wailing on Darth Maul, and he's blocking all the moves, and it's so, that was just, as a kid I was like, wow, this is like the movie in the video game. Do you know what I mean? Like the perfect adaptation or transition. And it was, I mean, like a janky game, you probably couldn't play it now. It's probably really old. I looked at loads of screenshots earlier on today and fell madly in love with it again, just thinking about how good, or how much enjoyment I got out of that game.
And it's like, is it like level based through like the first movie?
Yes. So there's there's probably, is there like maybe 10 levels? The first one is you're on the Trade Federation ship. When Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan first arrive on that ship.
I think I played this on the PC.
I mean, it could have been. There was, in fairness, there was at that time when Episode 1 came out. Yeah. They were merchandising the shit out of Star Wars. So there was a couple of video games that existed in or around the Phantom Menace. You know what I mean? Jedi Power Battles was my favorite though, because there was a fifth character who I think was made up. There was a female Jedi with a pink lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
I mean, gender stereotypes, I guess.
They're
all about that.
Yeah, it was the early 2000s.
So it was that was really, really cool. So that would have to be up there for me for Star Wars, and I would be I can't leave without mentioning Star Wars Racer, which was the pod racing game. Yeah. On the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Which was, even now, I think looking at videos, is a credit to Nintendo 64 system, because that felt like a fast game. That felt like you were doing pod racing. Now, this is pod racing. That's what I said every time I played that game.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. There was a couple of pod racing games came out as well. I think I had one on the PS1 or PS2, but like just the pod racing thing in general just makes it a perfect game. And is there like any that would surely be spot on for VR?
Oh man, I love the Star Wars Racer, and it's weird that it's called Racer because I don't know if they had a licensing issue actually being able to call it pod racing, or I don't know what happened there, but it's just called Star Wars Racer.
Yeah.
But if they, because you know we're living in the fucking season of remasters and remakes. If you remade that game, clean modern day graphics, and just made it feel as fast as it actually is, it'd be amazing.
And the online style as well. Like,
just matching up with people.
on that,
do you remember the guy I used to always pick in Racer was, do you remember in the movie, they're all at the starting line, and there's the one guy, small little stubby alien fella, and he's got the 4 engines, and the 2 engines just blow off the front.
He's gone.
I always played as him in the actual because his stats were actually, I think he had like really bad reliability, or the car would break really easy, but he was super fast. But I always played as him because he always gave me a giggle when I saw the film, like
the all or nothing
style. It was so good.
Classic.
Any more Star Wars before we finish up this
episode? I suppose there's one that it's pretty much just based on the third film, like Revenge of the Sith. Did you ever play that?
The beat 'em up.
It's level based for sure, but you are playing as Obi-Wan throughout it. Okay, it's not like an open world style. Like it's definitely level based, but it's shot for shot the movie pretty much. I think why it's so good, or like I remember it as being so good, is you do the full last fight on Mustafar
against Anakin.
Oh man, the visuals of it are insane, and like I went back and I was watching some of it, say, on YouTube, specifically that fight, because as I remember it in my head, it's like I was in a volcano, you know what I mean? It was really good graphics, and I was like, okay, prepare to be disappointed. Not that disappointed.
Wow.
It's okay for the time period that it came out, but the fighting in it is amazing. That's when, because I definitely had an episode 1 game, and the fighting mechanics in it, the combat was not very good. I don't know, it was just janky as hell. Like you do well for the lightsabers to hit off each other. It was just a little bit difficult. By this one, which could have only been a few years later, they'd ironed that out, and the progression you could do with like Qui-Gon, or sorry, not Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, it's kind of similar to Lord of the Rings style, where like the better you are doing, the more people you kill, the more you can pair up, more combos you move. Damn man, it was awesome. And like you could start doing force pushes in the combos as well, which I can't really remember being able to do too many.
Like mid combo,
you'd be doing something, then a little
push.
Push. Like it was just great. Like again, like just pure fan service. And I think when I'm watching or I'm playing a game that's based off something I already like, give me every Easter egg you have. Give me every little thing I want to.
I think I'll finish up the episode on one more mention. I won't go into it too much, but I think one of the greatest Star Wars games ever made, Rogue Squadron.
Oh, brilliant!
Back on was it GameCube? I think there was a GameCube one. Maybe it was Nintendo 64 was the first one. There was a GameCube one, and you just do all the dog fights that existed throughout the prequel series. No, the prequel series, because you were in like Naboo starfighters and A-wings and X-wings and stuff like that. But that one was an amazing game, and they have a new one. Well, not new one, but they have like the squadron leaders or rogue leader or whatever it is now. Great game. But for me, as a young kid on a GameCube controller, and for anybody who knows the GameCube controller, it's a real clunky left and right bumper buttons. And we didn't own a GameCube at the time. It was our brother's friend used to like lend it to us. We'd trade like him the PS2, and he'd give us the GameCube for a week. And I'd play. I'd always pick an A-wing because it was the fastest thing. But I felt like a real proper starfighter because the controller was just different, and the buttons on screen were different, like the green A button to like launch your missiles and everything like that. Really exciting game, but also as a dogfighting game, like lots of people loves playing those the World War games with the dogfight and in MiGs or in the old style planes from World War One. This one is just top tier, like in terms of how it feels. And I think there's a big fan base out there. I think I'd probably be given out to if I didn't mention Rogue Squadron at least. But that's it. I mean, God, I didn't know if we'd have enough for a good long episode, but this is probably one of our longer episodes.
Hey, here
it's
we go.
Just you and me, like as well. Like,
absolutely,
absolutely, I'll hash it out. But listen, myself and Kev are going to go do a quick post show after this, and I'm just going to ask Kev the question. This is the first time he's hearing this. I'm going to ask Kev the question: if he could have a video game of any movie currently, new film or old film that doesn't have a video game, what would he pick?
I love it.
So have a little think on that, Kev. And to our listeners out there, listen, if you like the stuff, you want to get on and hear what movie Kev wants a game made of, you can check out patreon.com/giftofgaming. And until then, it's been great, Kev. Thanks for sticking around.
My
and
pleasure.
To our listeners, keep enjoying the gift that is gaming. Peace out.
So,